Hi guys, so what we're going to be doing today is using Microsoft Defender to run some advanced KQL queries in a given scenario. So we're going to be running through all of the remediation steps here, which is the preparation, data collection, data analysis, investigation, response, documentation, and improvement phases. And we're going to start with a description of the scenario. So in this scenario, during routine maintenance, the security team is tasked with investigating any virtual machines in the shared services cluster that may have mistakenly been exposed to the internet, and then identify any misconfigurations on the VMs and check for potential brute force attempts or successes from external sources. So I have my write-up of this listed on my GitHub, and let's just get to it. So this is a shared space, so we're going to see a bunch of different VMs kind of pop up here. But for the sake of this lab here, I'm just going to be focusing on one in specific, which I'll show you in a second. So we're going to be querying device info where is internet facing is true equals true, and order by timestamp ascending. So we're checking the last 30 days. See, this is a shared space, so you see a bunch of different VMs here listed. For the sake of this lab, we're just going to be focusing on Windows Target 1. So I'm going to refine the search and say where device name contains Windows Target. And we can see that this, in fact, is internet facing, and we can see timestamps here. So we get to check all of these fields over here. Exposure level, sensor health for MDE. Okay, so what we're doing is noticing now that this device has been, in fact, internet facing and has been for quite some time. Today is the 16th, and this has been internet facing since the 17th, checking in the last 30 days. So this has been facing the internet for a month. Here you can see the query equaling true is internet facing is 1. So now that we know that this device actually was internet facing and has been for quite some time, we need to check to see if there has been any brute force attempts against this machine. So we're going to switch the query now to device logon events, where device name contains Windows Target. So we're querying for the same machine again, where the action type is logon failed. And we're going to order this search by timestamp ascending, the same way that we did up here to get the earliest known date. There we go. And we're going to check where is not empty, remote IP. So we can see the remote IP field. This will make sense in a second here once we see the query. And we're going to summarize these events. Summarize attempts. Maybe I'm not spelling this right. Summarize attempts by count, and the count is equal to the specified action type, the remote IP, the device name, and order by attempts. Okay, so breaking down this query here, you can kind of see the output. If this doesn't make sense, I'll just explain it really quickly. So we're looking at the device logon events table. All of these tables can be found over on this side where you can see what the queries and syntax are for each respective one. And we're going to be looking for this specific machine, right? And we're looking for the action type logon failed. So we're looking to see if anyone has failed any logons against this machine. And if so, we're going to look at the earliest known date. And then we're also looking for any attempts where the remote IP field, this field right here, is not empty. And we're going to summarize the attempts by action type, remote IP, and device name. So this means that this device has been attempted to log in to, but failed from this IP address this many times. And we're ordering this output by the number of attempts. So you can see here it is from the highest number of attempts down to the lowest number of attempts. So from here, what we're doing is now we can tell, okay, these are all the devices on the public internet which have attempted to remote into this device unsuccessfully, and how many times. Okay, well, now we have to see if any remote IP that is listed here, for the sake of this lab, we're just going to be focusing on the top 5, has been successful in their login attempts. So I have a copied list of all of these IP addresses right here, right? Because this took me a little bit of time to edit out all the other information that I copied over, so I just took the extra step to copy this over early. And now I'm going to build a query using these IP addresses. So we have to define a variable because we're going to be looking for all of those IP addresses. So we're going to say let remote IP in question, hopefully I spelled that right, be dynamic, and we're going to, you have to add these curly brackets inside of the standard brackets, otherwise it's not going to run properly when you define multiple things inside of a variable. And we're going to add each individual one. For the sake of brevity, I have already compiled this specific query on the side here using the extracted remote IP, so I'm just going to copy and paste that. Okay. So after you define this, right, we have a semicolon here because we need to continue the line. So we're going to drop down here, and we're going to now use the variable in the device logon events table where action type is logon success. And where the remote IP has, that's not it, has any of the IP addresses listed inside of the variable remote IP in question. Okay, so the result came back empty, which is a good sign, right? So we're searching within the past 30 days and saying, hey, do any of the top offenders um, in this particular search, have they been successful in logging in to the specified machine within this time frame? And the answer is no. They have not been successful in logging in um, within the specified time frame. So let's see if there has been any successful login attempts um, on that machine within the past 30 days. So device logon events where device name contains Windows target. Oops. Ran that a little bit preemptively. I'm just going to go ahead and continue to build the query here. Where logon type is network, and the action type, where action type equals logon success. And we're going to check the account names as well. So we can see distinct account name looks for distinct, really, looks for anything which does not align with already pre-existing things. So we can see that the only logon success on the network for this device has been lab user, which is the only user account actually attributed to that machine. So this is a good thing. So now we can see that this account has been able to successfully sign in. And now we should check to see where this has been successfully logged in from to make sure that there's nothing strange happening with this account. So let's see if we can actually already, I was going to say edit the existing query, but how about we just like copy and paste to make a new query just so that we have history here for when we build the documentation. So where device name is Windows target, network-based login, logon success, and we're actually going to remove this line because we understand that this is the only account that's been signed into. And we're going to take this and we're going to search for the account name. Lab user. And then we're going to get a count of logons. Summarize count. All right. So we see 39 sign-ins from lab user on Windows Target. Okay, so there's been 39 sign-ins in the last 30 days by lab user to Windows Target logging in via network. And now we're going to make one more query so we could try to get the IP addresses of these 39 attempted logins. So device logon events, where device name is this. It's a network-based logon. It was successful, lab user, and we're going to, what are we going to do? We're going to summarize the login count equals count by not device ID, device name, action type, account name, not account domain, account name, and the remote IP. And we should order this list by the number of logins. Okay. So query worked. We have the device here, the success of the account named lab user signing into this device successfully from these remote IP addresses and the number of times. So these are all internal IP addresses. Let's get a public one. Um, all right, so we see a login from Argentina. One from the United States, and one from the Philippines. So for the sake of this lab, all of these IP addresses are actually permitted to access this device. So there's no action that needs to be done here. So I already have written up in my report that the machine was exposed to the internet, and there were brute force attempts made to the machine, but there's no evidence of any brute force successes or unauthorized logins to this device. So we can include all of this in the documentation, which is going to be linked again in my GitHub in a little bit further detail, including the MITRE attack framework and any TTPs which are associated with any of these. And we're going to respond accordingly, create documentation, which again will be listed in my GitHub, and write up any improvements that could be made for us to secure our security posture and adjust accordingly for the next hunt. Thank you guys so much for joining. Take it easy.